Hey everyone, Desi's here with another video. Today I want to talk about EverQuest, but sort of with a certain lens, I suppose. This video I want to talk about the fact that EverQuest is literally older than me. The game released 25 years ago, a little over 25 years ago at this point, and I am currently 23, and I kind of wanted to talk about the kind of unique predicament in that, and how I view the game and how it could be different than how others view the game, or how similar it could be if someone else is younger than the game itself. I'd love to hear your experiences with that in the comment section. How old were you when you started playing EverQuest? Is the game older than you as well, or are you older than the game? Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. So to start with, I kind of wanted to talk about my experience with what I learned from EverQuest playing it so young. I also want to mention, if you enjoy listening or watching EverQuest YouTube videos, I make videos on a semi-weekly basis, so if you're interested, feel free to subscribe as well as like the video. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. As another preface, my dad kind of got me into the game because he played it before I was even born. And with that, I was kind of acquainted with the world very early on as a young kid. And even as a kid that wasn't really that conscious yet. I think I started really playing the game when I was 3 years old or so. So before you kind of start to realize who you are as a person. And I think with that, it was kind of a unique experience in how I view video games in general and just kind of fantasy concepts and the amalgamation of my own imagination early on and kind of what founded how I fantasize about things and how I think of certain adventures and certain concepts. I think there's definitely a strong effect from playing EverQuest early on and how that maybe subconsciously shaped my psyche. And I think I'm not qualified to actually talk about these things in any way. It's sort of just kind of finding my own personal interest in it and sharing it to the world and seeing if anyone else finds it interesting, or just simply talking about EverQuest in general. So to start with, I think foundationally, just typing skills in general. In EverQuest, you have to communicate with players via the chat box. You have to type, you have to learn certain commands like /G to talk in a group, or /OOC to talk out of character. There's a lot of different categorizations of communication in the game, and I think with that, especially as a kid, it forced me to really kind of learn how to type and learn how to effectively communicate if there was something I wanted to get out of the game. Whether I'm playing with another person, or I'm asking for buffs, or simply just hailing a NPC and seeing what they have to say, or reading the names of certain NPCs and what utility they serve in the game. Say if they're a banker, or if they're a certain vendor that sells a certain component or potion or armor. It really kind of forced me to understand this virtual world based on what certain NPCs provide, and based on a very textual basis of how am I going to communicate, how am I going to successfully play this game. And so I think without EverQuest, I would definitely not be as strong of a communicator as I would be today. I think it definitely improved my ability to learn how to quickly type and communicate very early on as like 3, 4, 5 years old playing this game. And with that, I think just acronyms in general. I remember the first time I learned what LOL meant was in EverQuest. I think I was playing on the Project 1999 server in maybe 2010, 2011, so I would have been around 9 or 10 back then. And I was playing with another barbarian shaman, ironically, in the Everfrost Peaks, and I was a barbarian warrior named Kaji, and he would put LOL in the chat. I thought, the lowercase L looks like an uppercase I sometimes, so I was thinking, is he saying like IOI, or is it L's, like lol, like what does that mean? And I remember explicitly asking him, hey, what does that mean? And they just put, oh, laugh out loud. And I just vividly remember that just being the first time I learned what LOL meant, which is kind of a staple acronym in just internet culture in general. And it's just funny that I kind of learned some of these internet lingo terms and just some of these, ways of communicating simply through EverQuest. I find that really cool, to be honest. And accompanied by communication. Communication is a necessity for collaboration and teamwork and being a part of a group, or going on a quest or venturing with another player. And I think EverQuest really helped build a foundation of my own ability to work with others and socialize and be a part of a team, and sort of begin to understand that you can bring certain things to the table that other other people necessarily can't, and that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses and what they're able to provide, and the amalgamation of that teamwork creates a successful and efficient process that is able to accomplish tasks together. And EverQuest is a prime example of creating that dynamic between multiple people joining together and setting out to embark upon a somewhat similar goal of attaining more experience, more power, more loot, and also within the backbone context of just having fun playing a video game. And I think personally, for me, EverQuest really helped build the foundation for that for myself, of understanding teamwork, understanding challenges, and what people can't do and what people can do. Sort of the concepts of limitations. And EverQuest is a very resource-oriented game. It's about being able to efficiently conserve your resources and be able to utilize your resources in the certain context that it's needed, and when not to use those resources in contexts where they're not needed. And that a prime example of that is simply mana regeneration and mana consumption, especially as a shaman playing now, using Cannibalize to regen my mana efficiently in Canna Dance, and knowing how much mana I'll need to heal and buff and slow, and maybe using lower level versions of those spells so I don't consume more mana than I need to accomplish the same kind of task. If I should even put a slow on this mob because we're killing them so fast anyways, or should I just do damage because that might mathematically equate to just killing the mob faster, and more importantly, the mob doing less damage to the tank, which will require me to heal less. And being able to balance these different ideas and necessities of resource, just keeping track of resources is really foundational, and I think it really helped me early on understand that, yeah, we all have our strengths, we all have a finite amount of certain resources and just certain capabilities that we're able to do at once. We're not able to do everything at once, and EverQuest is the perfect medium because it is a fantasy, like not reality, but it's a fantasy that really specifically drives these human community components of relying on others. And I think it's something that is sort of becoming more and more absent in our day-to-day contemporary lives in modern society, of really relying on other people and being a part of a very kind of tribal nature of working together to accomplish certain tasks, because a lot of things are becoming more homogenized, and we're becoming less and less reliant on other people for things that we need, because we're becoming more disconnected from the output of what we're producing in and of itself. And without going too far into that, EverQuest pulls that all apart and brings you the full human experience of putting something in and getting something out, while being a part of a tight-knit community that is able to communicate with each other and build upon each other. And I think that's what makes the game very special, and I think that's why MMOs are just so addictive and so fun to play as a human being, because it tickles that part of our brain that we're not really able to kind of get in a lot of our day-to-day lives. And I think it's very interesting. And I'd like to segue to another section of what I want to talk about, is my own unique connection to the game via just how my perception and outlook on life changes as I get older, and how that parallels with that perception of playing this same exact game. Because as I've gotten older, as my worldviews have shifted, EverQuest remains a stagnant and static world that is very much unchanged from how my own views of things have changed. With that, it's interesting to see how this anchor, which is the EverQuest world, this static anchor, this unchanging medium of something I'm able to consume and participate in, how my own perception of viewing the game changes, but the game itself remains stagnant. It's like an anchor, a reference point. And I think it's a good way for me to be able to understand how I've changed in myself by relating it to something else that hasn't objectively changed for the most part. And I think we all have those things for us in our lives, and it doesn't even have to be EverQuest. For me, EverQuest is a good example because it's a topic that I talk about on my YouTube channel a lot, so it's a good medium for me to kind of convey this personal connection for myself to other people that have that similar experience and connection to relate to themselves. So that's why I like to make EverQuest videos as well, is because we all have this interest in common that has been a part of our lives, and it's how we can kind of share our own humanity and our own interests and our own, just hobbies. And I think it's really, really fun to do that. But we all have our own unique aspects of our own lives that go beyond EverQuest, obviously, but they still bring up the same kind of concept of being a reference or an anchor point, whether it be a family member or a physical object or a book. A book stays the same, the words don't change, but our view of it changes. It's like the saying, there's a man that goes into the river one day, it's not the same man that goes into the river the next day, or something like that, something along the lines of that. It's just we're always changing, but there's reference points in our lives that stay the same, and it's a good reflection point to see where we're heading in our lives, if it's for the best or if it's not for the best. And it kind of gives us an opportunity to retrospect and intuit how we can evolve our own person for the better. And I think that's pretty interesting. And I also want to segue next to just being a part of a historical piece of media. EverQuest is a historical game. It's 25 years old, and it's one of the first MMORPGs that trailblazed a genre that became extremely popular with World of Warcraft. And with that, it's special in its own right. And there's so much to learn, so much wisdom to learn from other people and their stories in EverQuest. I love hearing people's comments in my videos talking about, certain experiences they had. One that I thought was really funny is someone said that they were, addicted to EverQuest like many of us are or have been, and they crossed the street in real life and they had a thought in the back of their mind they had to look both ways, not for cars but for hill giants. And I thought that was kind of funny. But just hearing how EverQuest can bleed into people's lives in funny ways, or even not funny ways, but just being able to hear people's stories. And it's something that I wasn't able to participate in enough early on to really appreciate and understand, to build stories from. So it's fun to hear other people's stories and be able to kind of vicariously experience what they experienced in the game, even when I wasn't really cognizant enough to be able to do that myself. And I think that perfectly connects to playing with my dad growing up. He was someone that experienced the bulk of early EverQuest, playing on a PvP server and, experiencing Kunark and Velius and Lucklin as their original expansions, which was something I never was able to experience myself. And being able to relate to him and learn from him and how he plays the game and his experiences, and being able to kind of, foster a relationship of understanding through an interest that we both shared, and being able to connect with each other based on that. I think EverQuest is really cool in that it is a really great platform for just connecting with people and even connecting with family and being able to build stories together. There was someone that reached out to me on the Quorum server the other day that said they were playing with their 8-year-old daughter, and I think that's just really cool, being able to experience something together with your child, or just your brother, or your aunt or uncle or something like that, and being able to experience this shared virtual world together and build stories from it and make memories. I think that's just the important thing, is just making memories together. And I have so many fond memories of just playing EverQuest with my dad and just, spending that time together. I think it's really cool, and it's really cool to see that other people have those similar experiences, especially hearing stories of people who got married and met their partners through EverQuest. I think that is just really cool, and it's really, really fun and just really, really special to hear those stories. And moving on to the mechanical segments of EverQuest itself, it's obviously a video game that has systems and mechanics and interfaces that we all have to kind of participate in order to progress in the game. And with that, it creates such a strong and huge amount of novelty in the way we experience the game itself. There are numerous different servers, and innumerable different servers and just ways of playing the game simply. and different user interfaces and texture packs to kind of see the game in a different artistic perception, and all of the different eras of expansions and what content is relevant in those eras. It really creates a never-ending sense of novelty and just an endless way of playing this one game that is so different in its different eras. Like, classic EverQuest is unrecognizable to live EverQuest, and TLPs that slowly go up to live EverQuest are way different from the classic emulated servers, and PvP servers are completely participated and played in completely different than PvE servers, and some servers have custom content on private servers like Project Lazarus, where you're literally controlling 6 players and there's custom content, custom zones, custom NPCs. Similarly to Project Quorum, there are small quality of life improvements that make the game slightly different from classic EverQuest, but a little bit more palatable to be a bit more respective of your time, which was a concept that I talked about in one of my past videos. And with that, it's all under the umbrella of one game, which is EverQuest. And I just think that is so fucking special, is that there's so many different categorizations of this one game that we all enjoy in our own ways. There's people that play P99, people that play Quorum, people that play time lock progressions, people that play live, people that play any other private server, and we're all still just EverQuest players in the end, and we're all, experiencing the game that we love. And I already talked about this in the past, but I think it is still just so special and so cool to just talk about simply. It's something that brings us all together, and it's something that highlights the differences in ourselves, but more importantly, it highlights the similarities in ourselves and how we all kind of share that bond in that community. And I couldn't be more than happy making EverQuest content and just really seeing how beautiful the EverQuest community is and how supportive they are in the comments and in game, and simply it's just a very nice energy and a very nice vibe. And other EverQuest YouTubers as well, just watching their content, we all love this game so much, and I think it's really, really cool. And it kind of connects to just meeting new people in general from this game. I kind of talked about, some people have met their partners in the game, but there's so many opportunities to meet people, whether it be through raiding or through grouping through the various dungeons and just the world in general at various level ranges, and also just meeting people who watched my videos personally. There's been so many people that just reach out to me on Project Quorum and just say, hey, I enjoy your videos, keep it up. I think it's just really cool to be able to just see people in the world that, we all love the game, and I watch other EverQuest YouTubers and just being a part of this nice, special online community. It's really, really cool, and I appreciate hearing from all of you, and it just, I don't know, it's really cool. And just kind of lastly, to gloss over Project Quorum specifically, the community has just been absolutely awesome. I actually was in a group in the Plane of Justice zone a few days ago, and Secrets was actually in my group. It was really cool to kind of just have the owner of the server in the group, and it was really cool. And I think having that kind of tight-knit atmosphere is really, really fun, and it really gives every player on the server a good platform to just kind of carve out their own reputation on the server and kind of help other people out and really foster a nice place to chill at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day to just wind down and play some EverQuest. And seeing the double XP event for the 1-year anniversary was, I was very spoiled, as all of us were who were playing during that time, with double XP and quadruple buff durations and so many instances of the Plane of Justice zone where you can find a group instantly and just get godly amounts of experience, and kind of being tapered off of that slowly with the removal of double XP and the buff durations, but still having Plane of Justice for a bit longer. I think it's just kind of funny to recognize how spoiled we were for a little bit there, and kind of being slapped in the face of reality. I think I mentioned that in my last video. But all in all, yeah, I've just been having a really fun time on Project Quorum, and excited to go to level 60. I really want to get my Epic 1.0 for my Shaman, and I'm level 47 right now, so I'm high enough level to go into the plane zones now to help raid, which is really cool. I'm very excited for that, and just getting more spells and kind of getting new gear and just meeting new people and playing in different zones that I never leveled in before. And yeah, I kind of just want to leave the video off with talking about those components of just the fact that EverQuest is older than me, and there's so much that I've learned from it personally as I've grown up. And I would love to hear if there's anybody who watches these videos that EverQuest is also older than them. And even if not, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about how EverQuest has affected you for the better or even for the worst, seeing what you learned about yourself by playing the game, and what you've learned for yourself and how that has positively impacted you in your own day-to-day life of just being alive on Earth, going outside, and just interacting with the world, and how EverQuest may have shaped certain ways of how you do certain things and how you think of certain things. I just think it's really important to dissect the things that we're interested in and what we get out of it and what we can learn about ourselves from it to be better. So anyways, I want to end the video there. I've been babbling on for over 20 minutes, which is very, very easy for me to do regarding EverQuest, and that's why I'm still making these videos, because I press the record button and somehow magically my mind is able to just talk about this damn game for like a half hour or longer if I really wanted to. So I'm gonna end it there. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, everyone. Peace.